Hey, everybody. Welcome to our first episode of Life as We Know It. This week, we're going to talk about introducing ourselves, and we're also going to explain what the podcast is about and how we both came up with these ideas to give you this product. We're also going to tell you what we've been up to for the last few weeks and introduce you my friend, Jonathan J. Brown.
What's happening, cats? It's me, Jonathan J. Brown, like you said.
We'll be right back.
Hey, it's me, Jonathan J. Brown. Want to do something cool for your kids? Give them a great story in the form of an audiobook. Kanu, A Boy's Journey, is about a mischievous little boy living in ancient Africa. He embarks on dangerous jungle adventures, talks to animals, and gets into all kinds of zaniness. But wait, there's more. Kanu's second adventure is out now too. It's called Kanu the Brave, and this little dude is seriously brave. So give your kids the gift of adventure. Available at audiobooks.com, barnesandnoble.com, Chirp, Google Play, Baker and Taylor, Odio, Anyplay, Overdrive, Books A Million, Milkbox, Nook, or is it Nuke? No, it's Nook. Wheelers, Hoopla, audiobooks.now, Radish, Spotify, Storytel, and so much more. The narrator will now insert a wolf howl.
Welcome to Life as We Know It. You can find us on Instagram at Life as We Know It Podcast 123 and on YouTube, a new thing for us, and wherever amazing podcasts are found. We're here to blow up your jazz. And you're going to hear that phrase a number of times because Jonathan came up with it, actually. And it's basically where we start to share some of our musical interests with one of our interludes. So we'll get back to that in a few minutes. We are the podcast that shines a light on people, groups, and businesses making a difference in the community and locally and around the world. We also share dynamic stories with you and events taking place in the country, the world, and even here in your own backyard. I'm Donathan Pfeiffer. I'm Don Pfeiffer. Who are you?
Yeah, there can be only one Don Pfeiffer, and I'm Jonathan J. Brown, everybody.
Yeah. So welcome to our podcast. Jonathan, maybe I'll just jump into it. We were going to talk and share a little bit about what we've been doing for the last, I would say, months, almost a year, because we, if our listeners don't know, we did have a podcast previously called Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life. And that was actually really a lot of fun. So one of the reasons why we're back is because we had such a good time recording that together. We get on quite well, as you'll see in our future podcasts. We joke around a lot. We get around there. But basically, we wanted to talk today about what we've been doing for the last few months and kind of an introduction of both of ourselves, and also explain what the podcast is about and why we're doing it. So if you want, Jonathan, I can go first. Do you want to go first? Up to you.
Let me blast something in here.
You blast it.
The last podcast was, I guess if you had to categorize it, was health and wellness and a bunch of silliness thrown in there and good times. Mm-hmm. And this time we're coming at it, we're going to call it a lifestyle podcast. And that is a very broad term. Shout out to my sister, because she came up with that idea, because she said, I like your other podcast. How about making it bigger? And she said a lifestyle. So I thought, okay, that's pretty loaded. You and I started talking about stuff, and we decided we're going to highlight some local businesses in the community that really do cool things, or they're interesting people that started. Like, have you ever owned a business, Don? Or started a business?
I've had fantasies about starting a business and owning one, but I've never had the wherewithal, time, or cash to do it. It takes a lot.
It takes a lot, and it whatever the rate is of businesses that fail, but to step up to the plate, so to speak, and say, I'm going to start a business and hang my shingle. It takes a special person. It takes guts, takes balls, whatever, and it changes daily. So even if people are not doing something massively charitable, let's say, there's we want to know who these people are that say, I'm going to pay this. Like we're in the South Bay, Los Angeles, so
Mm.
probably the lease is probably expensive. But if they're going to say we got this and we're going to give you this product, that's got to be an interesting person.
Absolutely, and I think on top of that, what we have noticed is that there's a lot of good people out there, and one of the things that, I know does your sister need a credit for this too, or are we gonna have to put her in the credits for
I
the
think she's got. I
inspiration?
think we've heard
Okay, she
enough
probably
from my sister.
I guess when she hears this, we'll get some feedback on that and some notes. But the other thing I was going to say, when it comes to businesses and being entrepreneurial in the South Bay and in the area, we've also seen a lot of good things. Because I think one of the points that Jonathan
Hmm.
brought up when we were uh, putting this together was we'd like to take away from a lot of the negativity and a lot of the toxic information that's out there, a lot of the toxicity on the internet and social media. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people doing a lot of great things. And what I found also, and we both found, is that locally in the bubble that we call the South Bay, there's a lot of great people doing things that are great for the community. A lot of people doing things that are good to create business and get
100%.
tax dollars rolling and do a lot of great stuff. So
Yep.
it's basically something we kind of tripped over and found.
Yeah.
And once we started digging into it, there's a lot of great people out there. A
And
lot
what
of
I
great people.
yeah, and I'm excited to jump on that, but I'm so
Yeah.
excited about this format because we're gonna be, men on the street, like, getting out there, and we've already sort of started some of that. We've talked to some businesses and breweries, and it's almost like we should have had the tape rolling at the time just with that introductory conversation because there's some cool like you said, there's some cool cats out there, and the next thing you know, 2 hours have gone by and like, "Oh, that was probably 2 episodes right there."
And the thing that's cool is they all have a story. Everyone has an
Yep,
interesting story about how or why they started a business. It wasn't just to get rich, because obviously it's hard
mhm,
to get rich when you're starting a business. But the
yep,
few people that we have spoken with so far are actually really interested in talking about their story. And we
yep,
think it's a great idea to get their story out there because, again, we're trying to spin some real good positivity out there. People doing good things, people spreading their stories, and also creating businesses that are helping the community,
yep,
also individuals and groups that are doing things that are very much a nonprofit driven business or
yep,
activity. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good things happening here. We really
and
want to chat about
as
it.
the podcast grows, which it will,
Hmm.
and we bring heat to those businesses, they might say, "Well, those 2 guys are like smoking hot, influencers or something."
Yeah,
Are we gonna keep that in?
yeah, smoking hot, smoking with an in apostrophe.
Oh, hell yeah, yeah, like the kids do.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, there's a lot of interest. And what I think is really wonderful is that, Jonathan's obviously very effusive, very easy to speak with. He actually opens the door for us quite a bit just with being so gregarious. Don't blush now and don't go all, don't let it go to your head. But he's actually quite good at this. And again, what I guess we're most almost inspired by is the fact that these people really want to talk. They really want to share
Mhm,
their stories, and they actually really would like to do things for their neighborhood, for
yep,
the South Bay in general, and also
mhm,
for different community efforts. Because a lot of them, believe it or not, are actually doing things that are charitable towards organizations or donating money or services or goods
mhm.
towards other things taking place in the community. So, I guess again, kudos to your sister for coming up with this idea. We're gonna ride the surfboard out on it, but absolutely, I think it's a great idea because I'm inspired to actually meet people too. I'm
Yep,
inspired
yep,
to really dig into why people are doing what they're doing.
and the people
Um,
I've, spoken to oh, I sound like a past and possibly future president. The people I've
oh,
spoken to.
that would be another episode.
They're really receptive. They're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I'd love to be on your podcast." Like, yeah,
Yeah,
because they see it not just free advertising, but it's the vibe, which is if we had just called them or sent an email, you might get nothing or, I don't know, send me a link to blah, 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 but when you go in there, have a conversation, and then tell them what we do, they're like, "Hey, man,
exactly.
come on by."
And the fact that we actually are changing over our format to video is a big thing for us because there's a lot of skills I have to relearn. Jonathan's a consummate actor and professional, so this is absolutely
Ah,
not new to
I
him.
need a makeup artist, though.
But but
This is
but
gonna be
the
tough.
thing that too that we wanted to do, because we're now going to video, which includes YouTube and how we're streaming, hopefully on Spotify and wherever else you find us, is that we're going to be able to show you locally where these businesses are and how they operate. and also the people. So a
Right.
lot of times on a podcast, all you can do is listen to, which is not a bad thing. But we
Hmm.
feel that having the video on these people to actually share with them their expressions, also Jonathan's expression, my expression, because we're so amazingly handsome without filters. Yeah, so I mean, that's why we're going to this video too. So don't forget that we can also be found on YouTube eventually,
All
and
right.
we'll be
I
trying.
like that.
Yeah, so it's all good. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea about the podcast where we're going. We have to again. Kudos to Jonathan's sister, who basically kind of inspired us after you and I spoke about it. So
Hmm. Hmm.
again, basically a very positive message. Let's say hip hip hooray and congratulations to all these people doing good things.
Yep.
Because back on what I'd said originally, there's a lot of toxicity out there. There's a lot of
Plenty of it.
negativity. There's a
Yeah.
lot of bullying and things happening on the socials that are not fun
Uh,
to read anymore.
yeah.
You can't read a thread on anything without someone getting either negative, political, or bullying down on somebody. We want to get rid of that.
The piling on is ridiculous. You
Yeah,
know.
so we don't want the piling on. We want to wave a banner to all those people that are doing good stuff. So I
Hmm.
guess does that kind of give us a good gist of it, Jonathan?
I
Anything else?
think they got the gist. Yeah, I think they got
Okay.
the gist.
Okay. Okay. So, on the second part of this, we want to kind of fill you in on maybe a little bit, a little bit about who we are
Hmm.
and maybe a little bit about what we've been doing since the last podcast ended, because just getting to this point was actually a lot of work. So,
Right. Right.
I'm just going to jump in here
I'll do
because
that. You go.
one of the things that it's actually now that I'm in my my sunset years,
Here we go.
it's important it's important that you actually keep your mind busy and activated. What I found a great, I don't know, uh, pleasure in doing was actually learning the new technical side of this. I've never been the technical guy. I never was the sound guy. I was never the recording guy. I was never the editing guy. I've been
But
the
you are
editing.
now.
I am now.
But you are
But
now.
and the thing that's fun is actually I'm learning so much new skills
Hmm.
technologically. Well, the technical side of like editing, video editing, um, doing graphics. So there's a lot of stuff that I thought I'm not that guy. I used to be the other guy who would
Yeah.
just like worry about where he was going out Friday night and get to the beach and ride my bike.
There you
Now,
go.
actually, I'm learning these great skills that are taking me to the next level of wanting to produce a really good product for our listeners
Hmm.
and our viewers now. So part of it was actually learning a lot of new platform skills, applications, learning how computers work a lot more, and as you see, hopefully as you watch us and listen to us, my skill will increase and get better, and you'll get a very fulfilling visual project out of us
Oh
when we
yeah.
come back with our podcast on future episodes.
And I think
So
about a week ago, you were about to throw your laptop through the window.
I almost did. So, because again, I'm not going to bore the listeners and the watchers with what
Everyone
was
loves a
going
good
on,
snapping
but
story.
I wish we could have videoed that because I was like,
Oh
"What the
yeah.
video?" Doing a lot
Yeah.
of these faces,
I was so
and
proud because you were cussing like me. I thought, oh, he swears like I do. That's the first time in the 5 years I've known you. I'm
it's
like,
not
go,
good.
Johnny, baby.
It was not good.
No, it was
So
awesome. It was
yeah,
awesome.
so it was actually, so again, I've been learning a lot of new skills when it comes to how we're going to direct and produce this podcast. I guess one of my other skills should be taking a deep breath
No.
and finding my nirvana
Yeah,
because
but if you have a little snapping along the way, that also
yeah.
gets it out.
And we're also going to be learning some things too, because we're learning how to work video now and how lighting, how you react to
Mhm.
your camera, how you react to each other. It's kind of a new skill for us. Well,
Yeah.
not for Jonathan, as I said, he's a consummate actor and professional,
Stop.
and yeah. So, um, yeah. So that was one of the big things, and then other things that I've been doing since we last got together. I've taken a number of trips. We actually took one together with our respective partners.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we went to Sonoma. We had a great time. Spent a few days up in Sonoma. I drug all our friends over there. We rented a house and took them to a bunch of wineries
Yeah,
because
I got to see how you people live.
yeah. Well, I've been known to enjoy wine from time to time
Matt,
on festive occasions.
and it was beautiful up there.
Yeah.
And one of the loveliest things you did is that time when you and your partner were out and you came home and you brought me some beer.
Yes. Well,
'Cause,
we always have
you
to
know
think of Jonathan.
yeah.
Jonathan is paramount to our need to make sure we are entertaining and being good hosts. And Jonathan likes a good beer every once in a while, even though we're in the middle of wine country. So,
A little the yin and the yang, a little balance, a little
yeah,
balance.
but it was a fun trip, right? I mean, we had a bunch of
Yes.
friends around with us. We
Yep.
had this great house. We all cooked, sat out.
Mhm.
I won some money in cards.
Oh
I
my,
never do
that
that.
you
I was
did, you did.
in cards. Yeah, so that was a great trip. I also went to Boston with my partner to see his family, which was a great new experience. I don't just get to see him often enough. And of course, Palm Springs, like all the time, whenever we
Mhm.
can get there, we were down there. By the way, it was 113 degrees there on Sunday, which
Oh.
we had to go there to run an errand for the house and just literally like plop something in and
Wow.
said, real, that was a fun trip. Let's drive 2 hours to do one
Yeah.
thing
You
in
know you've
113.
arrived when you drive 100 miles and call it an errand. Sorry,
Yes.
200 because you gotta come back.
Yeah, and that's the best part, coming back, and actually the best part is leaving 113-degree weather. So,
Dang.
yeah, and then, so the trips were fun, and then kind of one little side note too about something that I've done too is, taking a little more responsibility for my health, and,
Hey,
yeah, so
hey.
and that's
I
and I
applaud you.
feel yeah, and I know Jonathan's the fitness expert too, and you audience, you will know how many things he's an expert at soon as you listen to future podcasts. He'll probably tell you anyway,
And the
but
master of nothing.
but yeah, I mean, actually taking on Jonathan, I bought a rowing machine
Yeah,
last year, and it was like it's actually been something I've been really dedicated to. I'm
yeah.
really enjoying it. It's a great way to exercise. I'm not the gym rat that I used to be back in my youth.
None of us
And
are.
this is a great way to do it. And it's a very interactive thing. And in addition to that, now please do not roll your eyes, but I have taken
Okay.
up like a juicing program where I'm basically doing like a cleanse every once in a while, every few days. But I got to say, it feels good. I'm really happy to do it. It's actually a great way to not drink coffee. Haven't had
Mhm,
coffee for a few weeks.
mhm.
Not drinking a lot of alcohol. I know it's hard, but I'm not
Well
drinking a
well,
lot of alcohol.
now the eyes are rolling once,
Well, I
twice,
mean, okay.
they're rolling
Well,
again.
you're it's toning it down during the week,
Oh, no,
basically.
okay.
Yeah. So
Okay
I
then.
mean, I got to say, and then that's if anybody wants to,
We wanna apologize to our fun listeners out there for Donnie
yeah.
Baby's attack. That was an attack on people.
No. And if Pressed Juicery would like to sponsor us, I am taking their product and have joined their membership.
I have
So,
always loved Press Juicery. Never heard of them until now, but you know what?
and if I had a bell, I would go ding.
All the way.
But okay, yeah. So the juicing thing. So again, for me, it's been a lot of
No
basically getting
shame
back on the
There's no
you
shame
know
in that game, and cleansing is, it's hot right now.
It
Really.
is, and so is the fast. I have not done the fasting thing. Maybe we can talk about that sometime. But
Mhm.
right
Yeah,
now, I'm just trying to juice better and eat a
yeah,
little better. So
yeah.
that's kind of what I've been doing for the last few months. There's been a lot going on. Of course, the weather's changed, and it's really nice out here.
Yeah,
Finally, the
yeah.
June gloom is gone, so we're very happy about that.
Yes, and with the excluding me, people were just squawking and complaining about the gloom. So if you were one of them, you cannot complain about the heat right now.
I was one of them, and I will not complain about the heat.
All right.
Yeah,
Take the heat, baby.
yeah. So Jonathan, how about you? I mean, I squawked on a little bit about what's been going on with me. How about you? What have you
Well,
been up to?
you did mention the many hats a guy has.
Mm,
One of which is I'm an audiobook narrator, so I'm narrating a book right now for this. Shout out to Lisa Tolles. This is a second book of hers that she's allowed me to narrate, and it's uh, the last one was a political thriller. This one is a psychological thriller,
okay.
which is up my alley because I'm nuts psychologically. So it's perfect. Oh,
Yes,
you're
actually, it
rolling
is.
your eyes now.
It is. I'm not rolling my eyes. I'm holding them straight ahead. I'm looking straight ahead, I promise,
Yeah,
but I'm rolling
so
my
I love it. I do. I narrate from this little booth that I'm in right now. Later, when we do the video stuff, you might see this if we do video here. Are we going to do video like this or just live?
We can do it in our backyard. We can do it in your backyard. We can go to the place,
Ooh.
man on the street, like we talked about, or person on the street.
Right.
So
Right.
that's something else, we could talk about when we go to the
Hmm.
podcast again, is that
Yeah.
we want to get out there into the neighborhoods and
Hmm.
talk to people.
So, and on the health thing, our previous listeners will know, and in 2022, I had a battle with multiple myeloma, which is in the leukemia family. And actually, just today, I had a video call with my oncologist, and all the blood work and the numbers are looking good.
Excellent. Good.
So thank you, thank you. So I'm on a maintenance chemo, which is I'm on one pill a day for 21 days, 7 days off. And in the middle of that 7 days, I go do blood work to see if we can continue it or tweak the medication or lay off if my white blood count is too low. So what I like about that is I get my blood checked every month because the thing
Mm,
about multiple myeloma is she really likes to come back. And the last time I spoke to my oncologist, the time before, he said, let me just put it this way: multiple myeloma doesn't really go away. It just sits there. And I said, like a dormant volcano? And he goes, yeah. So we're going to
mm,
be watching you for a long time. I said, okay, because it could be a lot worse and it could have been worse, at the end of 2022. So, yep, health is good. And I work out 7 days a week. So I don't have to go hard 7 days a week, just more
mhm.
maintenance. I've been a maintenance guy for many years. And so I don't hate working out. It's not grueling for me.
Right.
Which, sorry, I think was that Boomer that agrees with me, or
That's one of my 2 dogs, which will soon be, sequestered to another room, but yes.
oh,
Oh god, sorry. And audience, this is gonna be part of the game, because when you have dogs and anything happens, this is what
sorry, they
happens,
got
is
me
you think
talking.
you're recording, because before we were recording,
Mhm.
nothing, silence, but
Oh,
of
that's
course,
how it
when we're
works,
recording, yeah, that's how it
right?
works. Yeah, right now they're gone. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So yes, I do. I am a fitness trainer, and I love working out. Uh, you were a runner back in the day? I can't remember.
I was a tennis player,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Okay. Okay.
not really, I never got into the running game.
Yeah, and I used to be a sprinter, and runners
Really?
talk about runner's high. I never
Mm,
got runner's high, even when I competed at a high level.
mhm.
And now working out, which I do body weight, kick the heavy bag, uh, free weights and stuff. I get as close as you can get to a high because really coming out and surviving cancer. So
Yeah,
everything I enjoy everything so much more. Like
yeah.
wine tastes better, working out is
And
better.
beer still tastes good.
And my wife is always getting hotter. That's just a given. And I'm just staying the same, Donnie baby.
I'm glad people can see me rolling my eyes, because that's why we wanna do video, because half of this stuff you missed on the other podcast, because we
Right.
didn't have this whole interaction going on.
And then I
I'm a
have a
little jealous.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was a little jealous because, you and your wife actually have an incredible routine where she is working out or doing something each morning too,
Yeah, every day. She doesn't miss a day.
and you're doing the same now too, so
Mhm.
you actually got in this really good groove of
Yeah.
keeping that going.
Yep. Yeah. And sometimes we'll do yoga together on a Sunday, or we used to do a
Mm,
lot more boxing and kickboxing. We might fire that up again, you never know.
mhm. It's
I
getting kinda
but
hot.
Yeah, it is getting hot, and she kicks too hard. Maybe we won't.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Oh, but I got a big announcement, Donnie baby.
Okay, what's that?
Might as well do it here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm also an author of crime fiction and historical fiction. And my in the crime fiction, my main character is Lou Crasher. And Lou Crasher is a rock drummer who doubles as an amateur or unlicensed private investigator. So in 2022, when I was going through chemo and all that, I wrote a book called Drums, Guns, and Money, and I wrote most of it by hand because when I would go to Kaiser, shout out to Kaiser Permanente, my sessions were either 4 hours or 6 hours long.
Mm,
And I never turned on the TV. Uh, but everyone on the other side always had it always had like courtroom drama. Everyone likes those.
mm. People love that stuff.
Yeah. So I would just write by hand, and I
It's
wrote this
literally
book.
longhand in a book,
Yeah, the
literally.
the first draft was
Wow.
pretty much about 80% written by hand, and then when I got to the laptop, that was almost like a second draft. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Because
Yeah, yeah.
I would take the laptop and set it up, and I just actually it was just too much of a headache to at that point during
Yeah.
the height of chemo. But after that, and while I was doing my stem cell recovering from my transplant, that's when I finished the book, and I just found out this week that it is has been nominated for a Seamus Award.
What?
Now the private eye, what the hell are they called? Um, Private Eye Writers of America.
Okay.
They have an annual award called the Seamus Award,
Huh.
and I had forgotten that I had entered this contest. I sent the books off and sort of forgot about it
Really?
because it's a long shot. Usually, when I see the winners, they've been around a while and you know who they are. So
Mhm.
I just sent my little book in there and just got the word like, "Hey, you're top 5. You're a finalist."
Wow.
So that, I mean, I love all my books, but this one is now extra dear to me because I was on drugs when I wrote it.
Good drugs.
Good drugs, yeah, the good
Good
ones,
drugs.
the ones they made
That's
me take.
Well, that's pretty auspicious. I mean, there's like a couple of really great things happening today that
Yeah,
our first recording is taking place. So,
yeah.
obviously, our first recording is taking place. So that's amazing. But
Hmm.
also the fact that you have a clean bill of health from your doctor
Yeah,
and that you've been nominated for this new award, which do they
yeah,
know when
buddy.
do they actually tell you if you've
Well,
won or
so
not?
so there's a conference called BoucherCon, and we usually go depending on what city it's in. We've almost been to all of them since 2018 or something,
Hmm.
and it's in Nashville this year.
Ah,
And we
okay.
weren't going to go because just of the funds, and we got some other trips going. And then we
Sure.
got this email, and then we look at each other like, well, we got to go now. so
Yeah, you do. You
so
got to go
that's
accept your reward.
well, just be there and try not to cry when they call someone else's name.
No, they won't.
No, but I really have that honestly, and I can say it now. And when I I told my wife, I said, "I entered the Seamus Award," and she said, "Oh, cool." And I said, "The only thing, my only goal is just to try. I'm trying to get a nomination. Like I would just love to have one." And then that happened. So I feel like I've
Amazing.
already won by getting there.
Do you know how many? I mean, I don't know how many submissions there were. Probably thousands, right?
Oh, that I don't know. And
Okay.
they have different categories. So mine is
Okay.
specific. Paperback original is the.
Okay.
And this is kind of it's almost like the Oscars because it's all focused on Private Eye.
Really?
It's Private Eye.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, congratulations on that for sure. I
thank
didn't know
you.
that. He didn't tell me. He doesn't tell me anything till we
I
record.
just
So.
found out, sort of, kind of.
But that's amazing. That's really amazing. And audience and viewers, this is actually going to come up quite a few times because Jonathan's a very talented writer, and we want to make sure that people know about his work. You've run a couple of other awards, haven't you?
The previous book got a scholarship. Yeah, the Barbara Neely Scholarship Award.
Okay.
And
Okay.
look at this full circle.
See? Oh.
So the prize was $2,000, but you had to spend it on something that had to do with books. So I bought this mic for audio, and now for the
Oh,
podcast.
okay.
Hey,
Okay. So it is full circle.
so I need to write
Okay.
another book for headphones.
So yeah, I mean, we've been through not been through quite a lot, but we've been doing quite a bit. It's
Yes,
kind of
doing
interesting
yes.
how life is also going by very, very quickly right now. Believe it or not, that's
Hmm.
actually the very first or early 2nd of June. Or sorry, July.
July, yeah.
June sped by like a crazy man. It
Hmm.
was here and gone, and all of a sudden, I was one of those people complaining about June gloom and May gray. I will not. I promise you, not complain about the heat
All
right now
right.
or ever. So yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's been a very busy number of months for us. We're glad to be back.
Oh yeah.
It's fun. I'm so glad we finally got to press that darn record button because
Oh hell
literally
yeah.
one of the things we talked about, like just press play, Don, and let's see what we get.
Let's see what we
Because I
get.
was wanting, I'm always trying to like, let's make it perfect. We're gonna format it this way: A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. It's like
Yep.
what? Sometimes you got to just press the button
Hmm.
and you just got to go for it and get started.
Yep.
Because if you don't do get started and make mistakes, you're never going to get better.
Exactly.
So I think we're
Exactly.
going to get better. So yeah, anything else you wanted to add to that?
I think it's all rock and roll. We're good. Did
It's
we
all
blow the
rock and roll.
did we blow the jazz up, Donnie baby?
Blow the jazz up. And speaking of blowing the jazz up, Jonathan did coin that phrase, and we're probably going to share those outtakes and B rolls because they were
You,
funny, and
you
none of
got
it was
to.
good enough to use. But
Oh,
yeah,
I'd say use it all.
well, for the blooper reel, yes. So the good news is that we've actually come up with the idea for kind of a music spotlight. And we take us out of the segment to talk about it real quick. And Jonathan actually chose this week's segment or this week's musical delight. And I'm going to basically ask you like you chose it. It
Mhm.
was out of the blue. So Jonathan, give me just off the top of your head, what is a cool piece of music that you really love and why? So
Okay.
Jonathan, tell me.
The artist is Alice Cooper,
Know him, know the music.
and the song is Cold Ethel, and
Okay.
it's off his Welcome to My Nightmare album, and I think that was 1975.
Wow.
And it means a lot because so I was 10 years old.
I was barely born.
Exactly. So there was a Saturday, and my brother said, "Do you want to walk up to the used record store and see what's going on?" And I
Uh,
said, "Sure." And my brother's 6 years older than me, so I mean, I'm 10. Like, yeah, let's go.
and
And
children, the record store is this big black disc that used to buy and put on a record player and put a needle on it and listen to it.
yeah, and vinyl is back again. So this is an
Vinyl is back.
origin story for them.
Exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
So
I'm
so we,
sorry.
we walked up to the store, and I loved Alice Cooper at the time, and I'm flipping through his albums, and my brother had some of them, but not all of his records. And then I had Welcome to My Nightmare in my hand, and it was $3. It was used.
Wow.
And I looked at it and there's no scratches. I'm like, oh, that's good condition. And my brother walks up and he says, "Do you want it?" And I said, "Well, I don't have any money, so no." He goes, "No, I'll get it for you." And I'm like, "Oh,
Oh.
cool." So he bought it for me, went home.
Oh.
He listened to what he bought. I listened to my record. And so that's why that album. And
Okay.
then, uh, so Alice Cooper was doing a tour and he was coming to Vancouver and that for that album. So I'm like, okay,
Oh.
I'm 10 years old, right? And I'm like, I got to go to this concert.
10
And
years old.
exactly.
Okay. All
So
right.
I told my mom, and she's like, "Oh, you're not going." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. My good friend Peter Armerling, he's been to see Blue Oyster Cult, and he's been to see Deep Purple, and his older brother took him. So why can't Gary take me?" And then Gary said, "Yeah, if I'll take him, I don't mind." And I said, "Okay, now you have to let us go." And my mom said, "No, you're just too young." So
Mm.
I was pissed. So I didn't talk to her for the rest of that evening. Oh, I had to make a statement. I was 10.
Yes, you and yes, not talking to her probably made a huge statement.
Oh yeah, I have 75, man. You know, if you don't talk, you're saying something.
Okay. Okay.
And so a week later, Alice comes to Vancouver, and I'm all ticked off because the concert was only $8, and I had $8.
Like
I had, man,
$8 to go to a
yes,
concert? What the
you bet.
heck?
At the Coliseum, and at the time that sat maybe 15,000. So, but I
Oh,
didn't get to
man.
go.
Oh.
The next day, I looked in the newspaper. I ran to read a newspaper at 10 years old to read about the concert. And it said that Alice Cooper, within the first 15 minutes, he was being lowered in a cage. He opened the door before it hit the stage and he jumped out and he broke his ankle.
Oh.
And a,
Really?
yeah, and a guy comes running up from the side and said, "Sorry, Alice broke his ankle. There will be no show. And by the way, there will be no refunds." And everyone
What?
goes, "No, exactly." So then there's a riot. Why did the guy say no refund? So there's a big riot. And so I read that. And then I go running and tell my mother, I said, "It's a good thing you didn't let me go to the concert because there was no concert." And Alice said, blah, 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 blah. And my mom looked at me like, "Well, I don't remember. What are you talking about?"
You
So,
stopped talking to me last night. I stopped listening.
yeah, yeah, I even said that. Remember when I wasn't talking to you? And
She's like, "No, I don't really remember that."
she just had this little grin on her face the whole
That's
time. But
so
I
funny.
was so happy that in 75 I saved $8. And when I told Sonia the story, she goes, "I'm just so glad you weren't in the middle of the riot." And I said, "Oh no, I would have wanted to be in that." And
Yeah, I think you would have liked to have been in the
yeah,
middle of
because if
that.
you survive a riot at 10 and you go to school and tell your buddies, you are the
Right?
coolest.
Right?
But anyway, I was still cool because I had the album and I saved $8.
Well, okay, let me just place this. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's definitely an intro to this.
Yeah.
Were you air guitaring through this?
I was singing along.
Were you? That's amazing. So that's
So,
actually a really great story.
and there's a teeny, here's the cherry on top
Yeah.
is, as you know, my dad was a psychiatrist. and he used to call me Skitsy, which is short for schizophrenic,
Yes.
because
Yes.
of my laugh and my behavior basically. So the
Mm.
lyrics of that song, Alice's character was a dark character, but it was a character he was playing. But anyway, that Cold Ethel is basically he's talking about himself making love to a corpse. And I'm 10 years old, just cranking Cold
This is
Ethel.
kinda getting a little dark. I had no idea, really? Is
Exactly.
that what that
And
was about?
while I'm under the roof of my psychiatrist's father, who calls me Skitsy, and I'm listening to Alice sing about making love to a corpse named Cold
Okay.
Ethel.
Okay. So next week's musical spotlight, it will be
Woo!
from Captain and Tennille Muskrat Love,
Yeah.
because we need to go very bright after that.
But I turned out okay, let's say. Right, Donnie baby? Don?
Yes. Yes, Jonathan, you turned out okay. Okay, that's what I love about it. We can actually do this because now I can read your face and
Oh my
it's
god.
very funny.
Yeah, so that's why I chose that piece of music.
And that was definitely a choice.
Oh,
A
yeah.
choice it was.
Yeah. Do you remember when we text each other, I said you asked me to pick a song, and I said,
Mhm.
"Here's the song." I said, "You won't like it, but here it is." And you text back immediately. You're like, "You're right. I don't like it." But we'll go with it. I said, "Yes."
Yeah, we'll go with it. And on that note, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. Jonathan will be back too. Probably still laughing.
Oh.
Hey everybody, I'm Don Pfeiffer.
And I'm Jonathan J. Brown. And together,
We are the hosts of the podcast Life as We Know It. We have an invitation for you. Are you an individual starting a new business?
do you or your business have an interesting story?
Well, we want to share that because you're making a difference with the community. So we want you to contact us at Life as We Know It Podcast 123 Instagram and tell us what your story is so we can share that with the world.
We can't wait to have you here. You know what? We're going to blow your jazz up.
Okay, I'm going to find a way to make that our thing. I'm going to blow your jazz up.
Well, would you look at us? We're back, Donnie baby.
Still handsome, still amazing.
I think we got a little bit better looking. Okay.
I don't know if it's possible.
Exactly. Well, everybody, we really hope you enjoyed. This is episode 1, our first episode. I got to say, on behalf of me, it's great to be back with you, Donnie baby. This feels
Yes.
good. This feels good.
I'm very excited. It's great to be working with you again.
Mhm.
I'm very excited about the podcast and what we've got going and what the message is going to be.
Yep. We're going to hit those businesses and communities because there's great stories, there's good stories, positive stories out there, and we're going to share them with you cats.
Yeah. So again, we'll be back. We're not sure exactly. We're trying to do this every week or so, other week and a half or so, but definitely we're going to keep getting content together for you to watch. And remember, you can find us on Instagram at Life as We Know It Podcast 123 and on YouTube. And of course, Spotify, Apple, all the places where podcasts can be found. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Join us next time as we share more exciting stories about people, groups, and businesses making a difference. And of course, our thoughts and opinions on everything. You can find us wherever you download podcasts and all the socials. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.